Shakespeare said, "All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players." But I believe that if he were alive today, Shakespeare might just say, "All the world's a video game." And then he would promptly trade in that quilled pen and paper of his for a computer and some mad coding skills. Now, my theory might seem like a stretch, but here's why I believe it. In game development, the game designer, much like the writer, creates a world that we, the players, drop into. It's very similar to reading a book or watching a movie or going to the theater to see a play, with one fundamental exception. The experience is interactive. And because story is so pivotal to the great gaming experience, when I read Shakespeare, it's very easy for me to visualize the kind of games he would create. Games that are rich in narrative and brimming with epic journeys and murderous plots and star-crossed heroes. And beyond story, games, like many of Shakespeare's plays, can teach us about life. I was reminded about this very recently. I was playing a game and I got stuck in a level, and I finally gave up and I reached out to a fellow gamer for some help. And his advice, play the game, Nanea. Don't let it play you. And in a word, it all boiled down to strategy. Now, a few years ago, I was actually the chief strategy officer at a game technology company. And so I like to think I'm pretty good at strategy, but in this case, I could see I had a lot of room for improvement. And then I started to think about how we women approach strategy collectively as a whole. And it became painfully clear to me that we are way behind in the strategy department. And the reason? We just don't learn it as girls. I mean, think about it. Boys from a very early age are conditioned to look at life through a strategic lens. Through playing team sports and core video games, they're exposed to organizational methods and combat strategies that help them outmaneuver the competition. And they even learn synergistic communication and leadership skills when they play online multiplayer games. They essentially learn the strategies of what it takes to win as an individual and together as a team. And little girls are often directed away from these activities, and their focus gets put on the accumulation of skills. And sometimes this can lead to a lifetime of constant self-improvement. And as a result, we grow up thinking that if we're just qualified and we have the right skill level, that's all we need to be successful. But skills without strategy doesn't equal success. Now, recently, we are seeing elementary schools encourage young girls to get involved in team sports. This is great progress. But I believe that if we also want our girls to grow up to be better life strategists, they also need to start playing video games. I've learned firsthand that playing games can teach you the fundamentals of strategy. Now, I know some of you may be aware there's recent data that came out that says 48% of all gamers are female. But I'm not talking about those games where chocolate is evil and you put makeup on your unicorn. I'm talking about those core games of champions and squadrons and mission-based adventures. And I'm also talking about those games where you see yourself as a builder and a maker, where you're interacting with toolkits and building blocks, games that have inherent geometry and resource management and lots of calculations. There's data coming out now that says that playing core and action-based video games improves spatial reasoning skills. These are the same skills that correlate to mathematical abilities, and they drive future success in many technology fields, especially if they're developed by age 13. And there are many other benefits that we need to investigate as it relates to gaming. One area, most games are designed with win-loss criteria, and there's an emphasis on losing. And what this means is that you have to lose repeatedly in order to learn how to win. And the knowledge is cumulative. You take it with you from one game to the other, getting better the more you play. And because of this, games can teach young people that intelligence is incremental, that it can increase with time and effort rather than just being something that's only inherent. When I was younger, I was that lone girl at the arcade, that lone teenage girl who could play the same game for hours on one quarter because I had finally identified the pattern. And I've had every game console that's come out since the Middle Ages. And I've even spent many a weekend geeking out building my own computers, specifically rigged for gaming. And all those endless hours that I played video games helped me to understand the basic mechanics of game theory that helped lay a foundation for strategic decision-making that I continuously tap into when developing products and business strategies. But probably the biggest advantage that I got from playing video games was a sense of confidence that I was just a little bit of a badass. And it also helped me know that I was capable of competing with the boys. And that was an attitude that helped me overcome many challenges in my life, especially as a teenager when I needed them the most. Certainly very useful in business, too. So all that time that I was wasting my time, or it appeared that I was wasting my time playing video games, I was learning about the many games of life. But there was one thing I wasn't fully prepared for as a young adult, and that was that the world would keep telling me that women can't be innovative. Yes, it's true, a woman did invent the chocolate chip cookie. And while they're very yummy and super important, I'm happy to say that we've invented a whole lot more. For instance, did you know that a woman developed Kevlar, or the circular saw, or the life raft, or the rotary engine, and the list goes on and on. But the truth is, we need more inventive women in this world. You attend any technology conference today, and you see the problem plain as day. Women hold less than 25% of all STEM-related jobs. And as the demand for STEM jobs continues to increase, the sad truth is we are not getting ourselves prepared in the numbers that we need to be in order to stay relevant in a changing world. Globally, women control $20 trillion of annual consumer spending. We earn $13 trillion. That is real power. And yet we're still not able to get ourselves into the roles that drive product initiatives and corporate strategies. Case in point, in the United States, women are almost 51% of the population, and yet we only hold less than 9% of top management positions. A very well-respected global leadership development firm did some research on the 16 core competencies you need in order to be a top-notch leader. And what they found was that while women in executive and entry-level positions exhibited stronger leadership qualities than their male colleagues, they were sorely lacking in one key area: strategy. And this lack of strategy is the reason we're not leveling up. This is why we are getting knocked out of the bracket somewhere in the middle of our careers, because simply put, we just don't understand how to play the game. We show up to work every day without a playbook, mistakenly believing that we'll be rewarded if we just work hard enough. We're essentially showing up to a chess game with a pile of checkers. And some of us have grasped the importance of strategy and yet will struggle with the ability to communicate our ideas. I certainly have had my own journey through this. And I came to realize that what good is having a transformative idea for a business, and maybe even the world, if I can't effectively communicate its value in a way that will motivate teams and investors to get behind it. You have to build confidence in the fact that you're the one who can deliver on it, or you're dead on arrival. You'll be relegated to the sidelines to watch someone else execute your very own idea, or worse yet, take credit for it. And there are many women who have great vision, but we wait for the confidence we believe that we need to show up before we take action. And what I've learned, and I've learned this from some wonderful men, you just need to be louder than your fear and do it anyway. And the secret is the confidence shows up after the action is taken. And when we find our love in playing the game, that's when we'll start winning. And then we'll have the opportunity to make our own rules, and the game will ultimately become more inclusive and well-balanced. And since only half of the population has been designing the game being played currently, we can assume that when we're also in it, playing for the win, it's going to be a hell of a lot more fun for everyone. Getting girls to play core video games is the tipping point to getting more females into engineering. And we need an army of badass little girls who believe in themselves enough to want to join the ranks of future innovators. Because to be honest, we need them to grow up and help us fix a world that on many days is the exact opposite of awesome. And as our friend Shakespeare reminds us, it's not in the stars to hold our destiny, but it's in ourselves. So my advice, play the game. Don't let it play you. Thank you.